Sheena here with Olle Gardens. If you've never visited our page before, then you have picked a perfect video to come visit on. On this channel, we try to focus on the things that are important to the new homesteader, the homesteader in general, the homesteader wife, mother. If you're busy and you're trying to find a way to reduce your costs by growing your own food, making your own drinks, then this is the channel for you. So today we received something in the mail that I have been needing for a while, and that is more bottles for bottling our kombucha. And these are the same ones that we ordered last time. There is, you need to see that. Don't ask me to pronounce it. I tried to pronounce it in another video, and when I went back and watched it, yeah, it wasn't pretty at all. Yeah. These bottles are about 8 ounces, and they work really well for the purposes of bottling kombucha, our homemade sodas using our ginger bug, also our ginger beer. Works really well for holding in that pressure. We've never had one to break. We have had several explosions. I just had one last night, or the night before last. I didn't even take these down and wash them, but yeah, that curtain catches it all the time, and it's probably the most sanitary thing in the house because it gets washed so much. Anyway, today we're going to be bottling up kombucha. We're going to be washing these up and using them to do that. We have 2 types of kombucha that we are currently using. One is our June, started as XUNG, Japanese, and then over the years it's kind of migrated, as far as we're concerned here in the US, to JUN, and then narrowing it down to here in the South. For those that do this, it's often called JUNET, but you know, it's all the same thing. When you hear someone say June tea or June kombucha, they're referring to kombucha that is started with a SCOBY that has been started with green tea and honey. Not your average black tea and honey, black tea and cane sugar, excuse me, that your standard kombucha is made out of. It's kind of considered the champagne taste for those that are into kombucha, but if you're looking to get into it and the vinegar taste that your standard kombucha kind of throws you off a little bit, June kombucha is where you want to start. Very nice flavor. I'm going to do another video on the June kombucha. Some of the issues that we're having, gonna kind of talk that out with you, and hopefully you can give me some feedback and help me with that, as I am very new to, I'm new to all of this, but really new to this. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get these washed up, and we'll get started. I did start yesterday. Yeah, I went ahead and made more tea to feed this. And then this morning, I drained about 3/4 of it, I guess. Yeah, it was pretty much up to the top there. And I drained all of that out and put it into my big bowl that I use for mixing. We're going to be using organic mangoes that we surprisingly found at Walmart, of all places. And that's what we're going to be using to flavor our kombucha with. So stay tuned.
Chasing the night and picking petty fights with the voices inside of me. How it feels like all that I
Smells so good.
worth or anything. Who's that girl in the mirror? Boy, I'd like to meet her someday. Oh, who's that?
the fermentation process going long enough to get us a good carbonation on this. All right, so there we go. There you have it. Ooh. All ready to go into our bottles. Well, let's get to the next step. Also, I want to mention, if you live somewhere where your water is really, what's the word I'm looking for? It's got a lot of chemicals in it. Like, it has a lot of chlorine in it. Be careful with washing your utensils and everything, even with that water. And always use distilled water for your kombucha. The chemicals that are in most water is going to naturally, because that's what they're designed to do, it's gonna kill your SCOBY, your fermentation goodness that's in there. So you need to not do that. All right, so what I got, that was a little less than a third of a cup of sugar. All right, looking now, and I think I'm gonna need more bottles. And so I'm just making me a little slurry here, and I'm actually going to make it a little slurrier by adding some of the kombucha that I've already harvested. Let me go grab that. Okay, so got my slurry, and this is our kombucha. This is a pretty big. This is probably close to a gallon. Put a little bit in there. Set that to the side. Just mash out some of those lumps. Now, right now, this will be really sweet and syrupy. So, like, you know, yeah. But remember that the fermentation process will eat up the sugar, and that's what's going to create the carbon bubbles that will carbonate our kombucha. Now, the difference between these clear bottles, which is kind of why I prefer them, but I couldn't find them in this size at the time, so this is what we're dealing with, is you can clearly see, you know, very well where your levels are. With these brown bottles, you have to pay a little bit more attention. Alright, so like I said, these are actually 12 ounces, so I believe this one is a 16 ounce. So we'll get our, maybe we'll do 3 for this big jar. You see, this is what I was afraid that was going to happen. It's going to clog up. So let's see if we can push that down. There we go. Awesome. And now, get that a little bit closer so you can see. We're just going to pour in our kombucha, and we're going to try to make sure we don't go above the neck of the bottle, because once this is fermented and it has its carbonation, just like with any soda you open, or anything you open with carbonation, there's going to be fizzing that happens when you first open this, so you want to give it room to kind of breathe. And then we have to kind of equal out the pressure. Oops. Oh, did pretty good, girl. I'm so proud of myself. And then we're going to pop the lid on it. Just going to give it a shake. Now, you could be a little bit more vigorous with it if you wanted to. With this first, today you can, but the next few days, as this starts to ferment, sometimes right up around this rim, you can hear the carbonation escaping, the little hissing noises. At that point, you want to be very careful with your bottles if you let it get to that point, which I often do just because of forgetfulness or busyness. All right, so for these, I think we'll do just like maybe 2, 1.5 maybe. Fruit flies are really bad here, and so in South Alabama, right on the Florida-Georgia line is where we are. And what I try to do is make sure that after this is done, that I go back and wash all the bottles off and dry them and leave them. And this area where I'm standing is right above our dishwasher, so the dishwasher probably runs twice a day. In canning season, much more than that, but this area stays warm is what I'm trying to say. So that helps the fermentation process continue. Gotta be careful with these brown bottles. Let's see, I don't think you can see the level. Yeah, I can barely see it. Alright, I'm gonna keep going with this and I'm gonna bring you back. Okay, so we're done. They're all bottled up, clean. I did go, I remember I went ahead and the last few times I did a little bit above the neck of the rim because I'm getting a little bit more experienced and I know what I'm doing. The curtain says no. All of them I ended up needing another bottle, so it ended up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 12 ounce and 1 of the 16 ounce. Now I want to show you something. This is how I know that this is going to be a powerful concoction, and I'm probably only going to let this sit on the counter for 1 day if I'm able to do that much. Do you already see those bubbles? And this was the first one I made. And it was the first one I washed too, so already. Now, listen. Jared, you see it? I don't know if it picked up on the camera or not, but it is already, it's doing what it needs to do. Now we have another step before we can say that we are finished with this process. Remember earlier I did tell you that I went ahead and drained out about 3/4 of our kombucha mixture that we used to make those for the second ferment. Now it's time to reimburse that kombucha, thanking our kombucha for getting us to this point. We're gonna now go back and feed her and give her some goodies. So what I've done here is I've put some warm water into my bowl, and I'm gonna go ahead, I think this is about, I believe that's about 1/4 a cup. I'm gonna do, well, that's probably more like a half when I fill it all the way up. 2 of those into my bowl here with my warm water. And normally it would be cold water and the tea would be warm. Either way, they cancel each other out. The tea went into the refrigerator last night because I started the project, but I didn't feel like finishing it. Some other things came up. So I'm gonna get the sugar nice and diluted in this warm water, and then we'll put the cold kombucha, black tea in here. I'm talking all kinds of crazy. So for clarification, black tea, just boiled, with sugar, cane sugar, is all you need to mix together to feed your scobies. That's it. You just want to taste it from day to day, and you can determine where your balance lies. For me, it's somewhere between like a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup to about a gallon. And if I harvest that at around 3 to 4 days, the flavor is just where I need it to be. And I don't need to add as much sugar to our second ferment because the flavor is on point. This time though, this kombucha had been sitting for about 10 days, so it's got quite a little twang to it. I did do it very concentrated, boil it, because I expected to add some cold water to it to balance out the temperature. You never want to put hot tea into your SCOBY because it's going to kill it. Room temperature or below. Not cold either. Alright. Again, using filtered distilled water. And this is what our mixture looks like. Ooh. Ugh. There you go. I feel like moving that camera down any. I'm gonna put a little bit more water in this. Only you can decide what you want your kombucha to taste like. It's your taste buds that you're making this for, your families. Sometimes we want it a little stronger, sometimes we want it a little weaker. This time of the year when it's hot, we want something that's really, really refreshing. And kombucha can serve as a good electrolyte replacer, depending on how it's made and what it's made out of. So we tend to go for lighter flavors. In the winter, we can handle a little bit more of a punch. So I'm gonna get this poured into our remaining kombucha that we have here, and I'm just gonna give it a nice stir, and then that's gonna be it. So questions and comments in the comment box below. Let me know what you do to flavor your kombucha. Do you do a second ferment, or do you just like the natural vinegar flavor, or have you found a technique that eliminates or lessens the vinegar flavor? Let us know. Let's grow together. If you haven't already, please make sure you like, share, subscribe. All of those things help our little fledgling channel to grow, and gives me a nice little confidence boost that somebody out there is benefiting from these videos. See you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.